Turn this up. Turn this up.
Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality.
Hi, I'm Paul Faronbi, aka IncrediPaul, and welcome to IncrediPaul Leadership, where I talk to incredible people doing incredible things so we can become the most incredible versions of ourselves. First off, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I also want you to know that you could also watch this episode on YouTube. Regardless of if you're listening or watching this episode, really appreciate your support. So real quick, if you like free things, stick around for this. It's something I started at the beginning of the year with the first solo episode, is I will share a keyword at the end of the episode, and that keyword will enter you into free, join for free merch every month. So you can win it every month if you want. The more you do it, the more you can win. All you have to do is subscribe to the newsletter. But maybe you want to just pick up merch right now. I can do that. Or you have the Be Incredible Starter Pack by going to IncrediPaul.org. So quick commercial. We want to dive into this episode. And this one, I'm talking about discipline and consistency, really sharing a story from my life that really models what it means to be disciplined and consistent. I've tried to do it, but definitely in the last few years for me, been more intentional, as that has really been my word of the decade, or definitely the last 5-6 years. I say that word a lot because you have to truly be intentional with all the different things in order to get it done. But it is January 2026. Reminder to say 2026, so I was saying 2025. I was just thinking the other day, like growing up, I would have to write the date on different things and I have to remind myself to put the new date. But now more and more, I don't have to write the date on things. I remember the last time I had to write the date on anything. So I'm not having to remember that it's 2/6, but instead of 2/5. Regardless, little random there. But I wanted to mention that it's the first month of the year. And I know a lot of people at the beginning of the year, they're super excited, brand new, page 1 of the 365-page book, and they go full force into their goals, full force into what they want to do, and then they hit a wall. That wall is often called National Quitters Day. So if you did not know about National Quitters Day, it's already passed, but National Quitters Day is the second Friday in January, and it is the moment where most people quit on their New Year's goals, quit on their New Year's resolutions. And it's up to 80%. Some statistics say 80% of people quit on their New Year's resolutions by the second Friday in January. And this year, that was January 9th. So we are past that. And I already know, because you're streaming this podcast, you are not the 80%. You are the 20% that is continuing to keep pushing and keep going after the goals that you have set. Nothing to worry about there. You all are in the minority in a good way that you are going after your goals. So pat yourself on the back because I believe in you. I know you can do it. But the main reason why I want to talk about this episode, talk about discipline and consistency and just sharing a story from my life, is that a lot of things in life, really anything that we do that's worthwhile, takes discipline. Motivation only lasts for so long. You can feel like doing something, but after a while, you don't feel like doing it. What are you going to do? You're just going to not do it. That's what a lot of people do. That's why National Quitters Day exists. People just stop doing it. But I want to talk about a story specifically in my life. Flashing back to 2022, I had just gotten married a few months prior, or maybe like a couple months at this point. No, I'm not married anymore. Story for another time. I've already talked about it last year. You can check out some of those episodes. But I went to the doctor, regular checkup, just to see how I'm doing. And I specifically remember this because he said, "Hey, Paul, you're doing good. You're healthy. You are over 300 pounds," which that was shocking to me that I weigh. I think I was like 309 or something, whatever, over 300 pounds. And I had gained 30 pounds in the last year. So not only was I the heaviest I'd ever been, but I also had gained 30 pounds in a year, which is insane to me. For context, I've always been a bigger guy, at least through the end of high school into college, like 6'4", 220 to 240 range, 250 when I was bulked up a little bit. But being over 300 pounds was foreign to me. As I probably imagine, I'm not over 300 pounds right now. I'll share what I am at right now. But this was something I had to come to grips with. The doctor is telling me that, hey, you're healthy. Technically, some of the things, I don't remember what it was, but some of the stuff was like maybe borderline. But as far as a clean bill of health, I am good, but he recommended losing some weight. And I took that to heart for about a week and I kind of forgot about it. And then I had some conversations with my spouse at the time about like looking into getting a CPAP and sleep apnea, all those different things. 2023, I transitioned to end of 2022, I transitioned jobs. And then beginning of 2023, I said, okay, I'm just going to go for it, do the consultation and see what they say. And what ended up happening was I did a consultation, but like similar to any doctor's appointment, they weigh you, get your vitals. And I had gained even more weight. So I told you maybe I was like around 309, whatever. This time I was like at 320 pounds. 100 pounds more than I had been in high school at the same height, which is insane to think about to anyone who knew me in high school or like family or friends, any of those things. And so I had a decision to make. First off, I did end up doing the sleep test, got the CPAP and everything. I think that was also a catalyst as well. But I made a decision really at the beginning of 2023 that I was going to go about my weight loss and be intentional and be disciplined. So in order to be disciplined, I had to figure out what exactly am I going to be disciplined in? Because I knew something had to change. Key things that I chose to be disciplined in is one, I need to stop eating after 7 p.m. These late night snacks, and for me, they weren't really snacks, they were meals, were not doing me any good. The second thing is I started intermittent fasting. So obviously consult a doctor. I'm not getting anyone dietary recommendations, but I started intermittent fasting because I had done some research and saw that intermittent fasting can help with burning of fat. So I think sometimes people say like, oh, you eat less calories. And you can also do that with intermittent fasting, which I did as well, not as intentional with eating less calories, but definitely to cut out one meal to get less calories that way. Other thing was to work out 5 days a week. So throughout this time, even when I had gained weight, I was still working out like 2-3 days a week, but I was not working out any more than that. I was not doing much of any cardio or walking. I would just kind of go with the flow. I was like, oh, I have time now. I'll go to the gym. But I was not very intentional with it. So I was like, okay, I need to be intentional. I need to work out 5 days a week. Notice I did not say workout every day. I said I work out 5 days a week. I gave myself Wednesdays and Sundays off, and that's what I was going to do. And the other thing on the diet side is I was going to cut out sweets to only once a week and then limit alcohol to once a week as well. But there are some cases I was like, I'm just going to eliminate alcohol completely. But then in special cases where I wanted to go out with friends, after a while, I would like, okay, I can only do it for this day. So dedicate it to that. Oh, those are the things I did. Those are the things I was disciplined with. And as you can imagine, it was not easy. I didn't always feel like working out. And at the beginning, I was definitely hungry after 7 p.m. because my body was used to eating late at night. And I would say like the intermittent fasting in the morning wasn't as difficult because as much as I like breakfast and I like breakfast food, I wouldn't always eat breakfast first thing in the morning. It'd be like later in the day and then I'd eat lunch, so all that stuff. So the intermittent fasting wasn't as hard. It was more so knowing when to eat late, not eating late at night. But what started to happen is I started to lose weight. Started to lose weight by doing these things. And that motivated me to keep going. Obviously, I didn't lose all the weight overnight. It took time and took intention. And at the beginning of 2024, so I told you, towards the beginning of 2023, let's call it like late January, early February, when I was more intentional with these things. Oh, by beginning of 2024, January, a year, actually less than a year really, I had lost 50 pounds. I had maintained muscle as well. So I was just as strong as I was before, actually gained some strength, and I had more energy than I had in years. So I was someone in college really at my peak was lifting as far as bench press, 405 pounds. So 4 plates, repping that out fairly easily. And I was working out 7 days a week. I was doing intramurals. I was doing all the things, staying up way too late as college students do. And what I realized after this year is that I had almost as much energy as I did as back in college as I did now at the age I was about to turn 30 at the time. Where most people are slipping back, they're talking about aches and pains and all those things. I felt more rejuvenated than ever because I was intentional with all the things I was doing, as well as the things I was not doing. And so the other thing is, I did not always feel like doing it. Like I mentioned, I had to remind myself of why I was doing it. And I was tired of feeling sluggish. I was tired of my clothes that I was wearing were becoming tight and I had to buy new clothes, all these things over the years, like really over the year, my waist size went from normally wearing like a 36 or 34 at times to like a 40. And then in a span of a year, I went down to a 38 and then went down to 36. And that's where I'm at right now. So I mentioned I lost about 50 pounds in that first year. So around 320 down to 270. By the end of 2024, even in the middle of 2024, I was down to 260. And then into 2025, hovering around 250. So even today, are still around 250. So I'm really at the weight, honestly, my optimal weight, where I was like right after college, where I started to do a little bit more weight training. More specifically, while I was working, because when you do more cardio and walking, you just end up getting a little bit leaner and you don't have as much muscle. And yeah, so I am at around 250, still not where I want to be, but I hover between like 245, 250, depending on if it's big back season or not. The running joke I have with myself around like the winter time, I'm more in the 250 range. And then after winter, I'll go back down to 245, maybe 240 range. But that was all about being intentional. And it took stages. It didn't happen all at once. And having support is great. But I will tell you that I did all of this weight loss, one without a trainer, without a dietitian, and really without much support from my partner. I mean, there's some stuff I could go into that, but it really wasn't until I started to get some results and then she started to get bought in and then we kind of started doing it together. But it was really all on my own at first. So I think that's the real thing I want to drive home is that yes, having people around you to motivate you is good. You should do that. And that's something I talk about, I preach about, but you cannot let the people around you keep you from where you want to go. So it's one of two things. Either you have to be intentional about getting in the rooms or talking to people who are going where you want, or you have to silence the noise, however you want to do that. But it has to come from internally, understanding like, why do I want this dream? So I talk about weight loss, but maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it is doing something in your career that others have not done. Maybe it's just maybe it's pursuing a postgraduate degree where there's a master's or PhD, MD, PhD, whatever it is. You have to want it for yourself. If other people want it and they're motivating you, that's fine. That can help you for a season. But when things get really hard, it has to come from you. So that's my story. Now the fun fact. So the last fun fact and keyword, you have to go back and watch that episode and listen to it if you had not. I mentioned that I had been homeschooled, and the real catalyst behind being homeschooled was the fact that my family moved to Ireland for a few months. And my mom made the decision that she wanted to just teach us. She had thought about doing it. And so she chose to teach me and my younger brother at the time. So that I was in second grade and he was in kindergarten. So she taught us at home, and that was a catalyst for being homeschooled. So the keyword for today is Ireland. So if you subscribe to the newsletter already, or you can reply back to contact@incredipaul.org with the keyword Ireland, and you'll be entered in to win some free merch. That's all I have to say. Hopefully what I shared resonates a little with you. Maybe it's not a weight loss story. Maybe it's starting a podcast. I do have a podcast community as well. I don't talk about it as much here because it's not necessarily the audience, but maybe you want to start a podcast. You've always been wondering how to do it. Reach out to me, go to the website, check out the podcast community, tap into that community, because it is truly, your environment makes a huge difference. You can still grow if you're not in the right environment, but your growth accelerates when you are in the right environment. So be intentional about your environment. Be intentional about what you want to do. Stay disciplined, stay consistent, keep pushing, keep learning, and you too can truly be incredible.
Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible. Incredible.